Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Confessions of a Reluctant Entrepreneur. I won't lie, this week has been a bit of a roller coaster for me. Some good days, some bad days. Yesterday was one of those, I think I can write in bed days, and I totally did. But today I'm up and I'm back at it, and I'm here to let you know that I'm going to do this Confessions of a Reluctant Entrepreneur twice a week. I'm going to aim for Tuesday and Thursday, probably Tuesday in the morning and Thursday in the afternoon to try and hit a different audience. But yeah, I'll do an announcement next week and we'll start with that new schedule. So if you are a new entrepreneur and you're just starting out your own business and you want to hear some of the wins, the mistakes, all the things from someone who's been doing it for 2 years now, then I'm your girl. Come check out these videos. But if you don't know me, my name is Andrea. I'm a ghostwriter and an author and also a writing coach. So although that last term I struggle with a little bit. So right now I'm kind of saying, yes, I'm a writing coach, but it tends to more often be like a co-writing situation because I like to get my hands in there. I don't like to just ask questions and then call it a day. And yeah, so that's me. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about this little book that I published this week. It's not little, it's big. And if you've seen any of my posts, you know a little bit about it. It's called Sadie, a story about a girl who just didn't know. And I published this book kind of on a whim. I wrote it about over 2.5 years ago, I think now, and my partner illustrated it. And it really was the beginning of my journey into starting Sadie Tells Stories. And at the time, I was in a job that I didn't love, and I had transitioned out of a career path that I had been on for 20 years. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but it wasn't a mistake. It was a good learning experience. The mistake would have been had I stayed in that job and just continued to stick it out and not move forward with doing something that I love, because that's just not me and not really something that I can do. So anyhow, at the time on the train, I wrote this story. But when it came time to getting it out there, I gave it to a few friends and a couple of publishers. But the reality is the book itself is more of a kid's book for adults. So even the publishers I sent it to were like, well, it's a bit too mature. And I sort of knew that. But there really wasn't a genre that I could think to fit the book in. And so I just sent it anyway, hoping that they would read it and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Which will bring me to another point later. That didn't happen. And so I just put the book away, and there were some design flaws. I'm not a trained designer, so there are definitely some flaws with the design in the book, and I would have loved to have fixed those flaws. But in the end, I don't know, I just felt like it had to get out there. And the greatest thing that happened is that one of the friends who also happened to be a mentor of mine, read the book early on, messaged when she saw that I had published it, and just left this beautiful message. And it was a really nice lesson in actually getting your work out there and not holding yourself back and just going for it, because we had this book sitting in a file forever. It's not perfect. The design definitely needs work. The illustrations are great. And I'm pretty happy with the writing, but in reading it, it probably could have been refined a little bit more. But in the end, it's not perfect, but it's out there. So yeah. All right, moving on to some of the stuff I said I was going to talk about today, and a few fun facts about the bestseller lists on Amazon. Those things are deceiving as fuck. They are, I don't know how they actually work, but if you get a sale in that moment, within that hour, it sends you way up to the top of the list. And hey, this thing is super fun to watch, because you're like, oh my God. The first time it happened, I published through Ingram Spark, and you can't see how many people are buying your book. I seriously thought I was a millionaire. Like, oh my God, all this money is coming in. Yeah. No, not the case. So, and at the time I was publishing or posting about where I was on the numbers list and how great it was, I really didn't know. I was like, yeah, this is so exciting. But now I'm seeing a lot of people do this on Facebook as well. And not to knock it, it is exciting. It's great to watch you climb on the hot new bestsellers list to like number 1 or 2 in whatever category you have listed your book in. But just don't be deceived by, I think what I've seen happening is people offering a chapter in a book and you pay them to write a chapter of the book. I think recently I was approached to write a chapter and it would cost me $1,000 to be a part of this book. And they were selling it as like, be a bestseller, be a best-selling author on Amazon and, catapult yourself to being a leader in your field and blah, 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 blah. I think that is just a little bit disingenuous. If you want to contribute to a book because it'll get you out there, I really just, at this point, unless it's a major up level on your brand, I don't think you should do it. It's kind of like, I know people now are charging for podcast interviews if you want to be on podcasts. Again, I think if someone wants to interview for their podcast, then it's a voluntary thing and you shouldn't have to pay for that. If someone really respects your work, they'll ask you to be on their podcast or you can approach them, whatever. I'm not an expert on podcasts, but it's the same with chapters, contributing to a chapter to a book. I'm sorry, people out there who are doing this, but I don't recommend paying for it. All right. One thing I learned this week is that publishing on Kindle is actually really, really easy. So my last book, the short ebook that I did, Lean In With Love, I published through Ingram Spark. I got an ISBN in Canada. It's actually very, very easy to get your own ISBN. You contact, I think it's Libraries Canada. If anyone wants to know, just shoot me a message. I'll tell you how to do it. Super easy. I know it's different for different countries. Anyhow, my point is, so through Ingram Spark, you get your own unique ISBN, but if you publish through Kindle Direct, they actually supply you with your own unique number that works exactly the same. So I think the only difference, although don't quote me on this again, I've only done the 2 books, is that that number is specific to Kindle. So you won't be able to take that number, I don't think, and then remove your book and publish it somewhere else with that number. I think in that case, you need to do a second edition and get your own ISBN for the second edition and then move forward with a different publisher that way. Again, don't quote me. Very, very new to this publishing thing. But publishing on Kindle, the greatest thing is that you can see daily, hourly, minutely, secondly, how many books you've sold on their reports page. So when you see your numbers climb on Amazon, you can actually go back and go, oh, okay, so one person bought my book in that time. And in that moment, I think the algorithm sort of pulls everything together. And if no one else is buying books in that category at that time, it's going to shoot you to the top of the list. It doesn't mean you sold 1 million books. It's sad, but true. So it's really nice to have those reports. And I would say, I'm going to say that it's much, much better than going through Ingram Spark. So with Ingram Spark, I had an issue. You don't see your report till 30 days later. I think it's because Amazon doesn't get it to them, which seems weird since you can actually see it yourself daily there. But the problem with Ingram Spark, now that I know that I didn't have many sales, they still could never give me an actual number of sales that I had. And for like even going through and calling them after the 30 days, they said, oh, well, you've had none. And I said, well, that's actually not true because I've had no friends who bought it. So then they had to go back through and check and they said, okay, well, you had 18. But in the end, the only reports, so I had a big fight with them, not a big fight, but I was a little frustrated. They sent me that report to my email in that moment that they went and dug up that sold 18 in total for that month or whatever it was. But since then, they send you reports. They're automatically sent, not from anybody. And those reports still don't reflect the 18 books that they said I sold like a year ago. So, I mean, who knows? But I recommend if you're publishing your own book to definitely go through Kindle Direct and leave that middleman out. I think, again, don't quote me, maybe I shouldn't say it. I think you have an option with both. If you do want to get your own ISBN, I believe you can do that with both the hard physical copy and the ebook. But again, if anyone's watching this and they think, or watching the replay, just let me know and I'll correct myself if I am wrong. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about here is publishing was easy. Did it within a couple of hours and Kindle also gives you this format for putting a PDF into this little program, and it creates your book for you. So easy, so much easier than the way I did it for Ingram Spark. So yeah, but that was easy. Marketing this thing, I find very difficult. Now I know there's a whole bunch of how-tos and videos I could watch, and maybe I will watch one today. But often they give you just a little bit, and I get it, people are selling their knowledge. They give you just a little bit, and then you have to buy their course in order to get the full knowledge that you really need to actually market your book. So if you've watched any of my past videos, I talked about how I fell down the rabbit hole in the beginning of like, okay, I'm gonna learn Pinterest, and I'm gonna do everything on Pinterest, watch all the videos and figure it out. And I got my views up to 2.5 million, mostly because I learned that people really like wedding stuff, and I was writing about love stories. So I was like, well, I'm gonna pin wedding stuff. And even though I haven't been active on there in a year, the way I set it up, I'm still at like 300,000, over 300,000 views. But still, with that, there was no sales, no people actually interested in the products that I had to sell. They really liked my choice in wedding dresses, which is cool. I've never worn one. I never will, but I have good taste. And then I also thought about Instagram, and Instagram is where I post my art. And I know Eagle Eye was trying to show me some stuff about, how to get more followers and then unfollow and all these sorts of things. And then it was like Facebook groups and starting a Facebook group, which I actually really enjoyed, and I would continue to enjoy it, but there are some flaws with the way that groups are and what people need and what people want from groups, and I still just haven't figured out how to create that sort of community that I want to create while still being able to sell my stuff and that sort of thing. My point is that social media, I have not figured you out. I mean, I have one person watching right now, and that's super great. I kind of take it as a bit of a, well, maybe if I was actually doing something awesome, people would be like, yes, I want to watch this thing. Or if my art was awesome, or if my writing was awesome. And so then that sends me down this like, oh, I suck at everything. I should just quit now and go work at Tim Hortons. It's not that working at Tim Hortons is bad. Just at 42, it's not my goal. So yes, if you were watching this or watching the replay, I would love your tips and tricks for marketing my book. And so I will throw this out there. I'll create a post later for it as well. I need some help. So if you know anyone who is going through a life change or needs to hear this message, and you think that they would like Sadie, a story about a girl who just didn't know, please send them the link to my book. You can actually peek in the book and read a couple of pages to see if you like it. And yeah, share the link. I would love you for it. Help me get the word out. I'll probably love you anyway. But okay, that's it. Have a really great day, everyone. And I will see you next week. New time, same place. Talk to you soon.